Hi, it's Sherri from A Quilting Life, and I'm here on the A Quilting Life podcast. This is a bonus episode for Monday, December 28th. Don't worry, Chelsea and I will be back next week on Monday, January 4th. But I wanted to do this little bonus episode with my year-end review. It's something I do every year on the blog, and I've just been thinking about it and thought it would be so much fun to do a video along with this. So before I get started doing that, I did want to kind of talk about just a few other things. This morning, I finished filming the video for the block of the month for January 2021, and I've got it down here on the table, the January block, just a sneak peek. I will have a free PDF pattern each month for the block in 12-inch and 6-inch sizes. So you'll be able to choose your size on that. And I will also be filming a step-by-step video every month. So if you're a new beginner quilter, you can see exactly how I put the block together each step of the way. And even if you're not a beginner, you might learn some new tips or tricks or see some new tools as we do that. So I'll set that aside for now. But I wanted to let you know about that and let you know that it's going to be a little bit different format. Additionally, if you pre-ordered a kit, those will be shipping out this week. And if I have some extras available, I will make those available in my Etsy shop. So I'm going to be cutting and shipping all of those kits this week. Okay, other than that, I think we'll just kind of get right into it. I have been doing a year-end review on my blog for several years, and I first learned about it from other bloggers who would post pictures of all of their projects that they made through the year. And so right away, I started doing that. That was really the reason I first started my blog, was to keep track of all the projects that I was making. I gave a lot in my early years away as gifts, made a lot of baby quilts for friends. And so the year-end review is just kind of really fun to do. But also, I think it's really important to do as you set new goals for the new year. And next week, Chelsea and I are going to be talking about our goals for 2021. And so I thought this is perfect. If you can maybe take a little bit of time this week and do your own year-end review, you'll be ready for that goals episode that we have for next week. So I went through my blog, and I actually went through the pictures folder on my computer last night, and I counted up all of the quilts, all of the, let's see, I've made a list. So 30 quilts that I made that are large size quilts, 5 pillows, 2 mug rugs, 12 plus pot holders. I don't even know how many pot holders I made because I gave them away for Christmas this year. So 3 sew together bags, 5 table runners, 3 zipper pouches, a large project bag, and blocks for my Quilting Life block of the month and my Blockheads 3 quilt. So lots of blocks, lots of quilts, lots of projects. So it's really fun. I'm going to actually have some pictures, some little collage type pictures of all of the quilts from 2020. I also did work on some of my works in progress, and I'm going to talk to you about a couple of those today because they're projects that I kind of think I might be finishing in 2021. So that's the next thing. When you're doing a year review, first make a list of everything you finished. So that was kind of the rundown that I just gave you. Next, look at your works in progress. So let me just share, I finished up a lot of works in progress this year, and so I really don't have that many in the drawers, which is a good thing. I don't count anything if it's unopened. So I do have a couple kits and block of the months that are still in the bag, so I'm not counting those. But I've shared this one quite a bit. This is my village quilt, and it's just these cute little house blocks. And I'm about halfway through with this project, and I've been using all of our fabric collections. So it's been really hard to even contemplate coming to an end on this one because there's always another fabric collection down the line that I want to add in. But I don't know. I feel like by the end of this year, I might have enough blocks to sew this one together. And then I'll have to just start another work in progress with our fabric collections. So this is one of my works in progress, and I actually haven't made any blocks for it yet with Happy Days. So I'm going to get going on that before the end of the year. Another work in progress that I have that I think I'll for sure finish this year is my Minnick & Simpson on the plus side quilt. And Lori did hers in all reds. And of course, when I saw it, I thought I have to do my blocks in all blues. And they're just these little cute plus blocks that I've been working on for a couple of years now. I'm not sure when this pattern came out, but I feel like I've got a lot of her fabrics stockpiled away in blues, and I'm thinking this is going to be on my list to finish this year. So these are kind of my two works in progress that I want to finish. And I feel like when you're doing a year-end review, just because you have a work in progress doesn't mean you need to finish it that year. So just kind of think about that, look at your works in progress, and maybe pick one or two that you want to finish, or even just one. But it's okay. I have loved having these projects to work on over the years and have loved seeing how they come together over a longer period of time. So that's the next step. After you look at everything you finished, look at your works in progress, choose a couple to finish, and evaluate how you want to work on the others. Sometimes you might want to make a smaller project with the blocks that you already have done and just be done with it. Or you might want to make a table runner, or you might want to gift the blocks to someone altogether and just get it out. But just kind of look over everything that you've been working on and just make a plan for each different work in progress. And so the next step is to think about your bucket list projects. So those are projects that maybe you want to do in the future. And I have my planner here too. I wanted to mention there's places in here to record the projects that you're working on, your works in progress. There's places to list your bucket list projects. So I really intended this as kind of a reference tool that you could jot down these projects in and make notes about what you want to do with them. It is undated, so you can start it at any time if you're not watching this when it first airs. So bucket list projects. So I made a list of 3 things, bucket list projects that I want to start this year. I'm not sure that I want to finish all of them this year either. So I'll tell you what they are. And this is kind of the only kind of little thing I'm going to tell you. I will be sharing the rest of my quilting goals with you next week when I do the podcast with Chelsea. But 3 bucket list projects that I have are, 1, I want to make a half square triangle Christmas quilt. Lisa Bonjean shared an incredible one. And so I'm going to start making my half square triangles for that. I feel like maybe I'll finish that by next Christmas. That would be a good one to finish. And then another bucket list project I have is, and you might have seen these if you've been watching the podcast as we've been going along, or if you've seen them on my blog, but earlier in the summer, I made some mini log cabin blocks, and I was having so much fun with those. I actually ended up turning them into a small project that is going to be published later this year. Well, in 2021, later in 2021. So those are gone, and I have missed those. So I want to do some more mini log cabins for a bigger project. So that's on my bucket list, and I haven't decided yet if I really want to go all out and make a king size mini log cabin quilt. That's kind of percolating in the back of the brain. So, and then the other thing I want to do is I want to make a mini Dresden quilt, and this was kind of inspired by my pincushion, which I've also shared by Terry at Curry Bungalow. I love these mini Dresdens on the top of the pincushion, and so I thought it would be really fun if I made a mini Dresden out of each of our fabric collections and made a wall hanging. And actually, Camille Ross Kelly, I believe someone gifted her one a year or two ago, and I've always remembered that. And when I saw how cute these little Dresdens were that Terry did, I thought, that's it. That's a bucket list project. So I've got those three kind of bucket list projects on my list, and I will go over the rest of my quilting goals with you next week. But there are just a few more things that I wanted to talk about today for the year-end review. And these are kind of thought-provoking things that might take you a little bit more time to think about. But you could put them down in a journal. A lot of them you can put in your Quilting Life planner. So first thing is favorite finish. Think about what your favorite finish was for the past year. I have two favorite, well, maybe three. I think my most favorite finish is a quilt I can't quite share yet. It's going to be coming out February 5th in a book by my friend Lisa Alexander called Scrap School. And she actually invited several different quilters to submit quilts for this book. And I am so excited about this quilt. It's actually the first quilt that I made in this home, in this sewing room. And I laid it out on the floor. I don't even think I had all the furniture in here. We were moving at about the time that I had the book deadline. And so I had lots of room. I don't think this table was in here yet. So I had lots of room to lay the whole quilt out on the floor. But I think that might have been my favorite finish for 2020. And why? Because it's so scrappy and so fun. And it used lots of our fabric collections. So I'll be able to share that with you in February. So maybe a little bit before, whenever we get the word from the publisher. So my other two favorite finishes, as I thought about them, were my Sweet Christmas quilt with the Grandmother's Flower Gardens and the reds and greens from our collections. I just love that. And my Beach House Row quilt. So, and also, since I'm talking about the Beach House Row quilt, I wanted to let you know there is going to be a sew along for that quilt. I'm going to wait and start it after the Happy Days fabric has shipped in March. So I did announce that on my blog the other day, and we will film videos for each row of that quilt too. So step by step, show you how to put it together. And I'm really super excited about that. There will be more information coming as it gets closer to when the fabric is going to be delivered. And just a note on fabrics, I'm sure you've heard this from many different people, but fabrics are slow. They're arriving later than normal. Our Balboa collection was almost 2 months late coming. So it's just with everything going on in the world, people are sewing, and that's a wonderful thing, but it has slowed down the production and the shipping of fabric a bit. So I will wait until I actually know when the Happy Days fabric is going to be here, because a lot of you will be using that collection for that sew along. So look for that to start sometime end of March, is kind of my best guess right now. So those are probably my three favorite finishes: the Sweet Christmas quilt, the Beach House Row, and the Scrap School quilt. So think about your favorite finishes. Here's some other questions for you. What kind of projects do you want to do more of this year? For me, I thought I want to have something handwork all the time. I can't always have a quilt to bind. I've had a lot to bind this year, but I don't always have those quilts to bind. And so I really want to have something that I can always just have in a basket in the family room. So if I watch TV, I can always be working on handwork. And then I also, as I thought about it, I also thought I really like working with small blocks, hence the 4-inch finished log cabins. So that was something I really enjoyed this year. And then finally, projects that I want to do more of, decor projects, but I want to be really intentional about it. And I do have place in the Quilting Life Planner too for you to kind of make a list of the decor projects that you have, or also places where you might want to. I'm actually going to do a walkthrough this week and kind of think about anything that I might want to make for specific spots on the wall or tables, and just kind of give myself a list. And Chelsea and I will be talking more about that. Along with thinking about projects that you want to do more of, another thing you might want to think about is, what projects do I want to do less of? So quilting should be joyful and fun. And so if there's something you don't like, just don't do it. I think we saw that in the Blockheads 3 Sew Along, where if there was a block you didn't like, you could just not make that block and you could substitute it with something else. So, but if you kind of take a few minutes to think about what you want to do less of, you can, you know, really be intentional. And when something like that comes up, you can know, hey, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to change it out for something, or I'm not even going to try this because it doesn't make me happy when I sew that type of project. So if you don't like making bags, don't make them. Or if there's a certain type of quilt block that you really don't love, just don't make it. So that's just something else to think about. One other thing kind of along this line, and I'm almost to the bottom of my list, so I know you're probably missing Chelsea, but I just really thought this would be so much easier to get out in a podcast than just a blog post. Okay, think about having one challenge project. So one thing, and I know I just got done telling you, if there's something you don't like to do, don't do it. But what about something that you might want to learn to be better at? So for me, I really love curved piecing, but it takes a little bit more time. So I think, well, I want to do a curved piecing project this year. And then I really do love applique, but I'm not terrific at it. I feel like I can do simple curves pretty well now after practicing for the last probably 10 years. But, I would like to increase my skills with applique. So those are kind of the two things I'm thinking about, is maybe just throwing in a curved piecing project to give me a little bit more of a challenge for the year, and also maybe some simple applique just to keep my skills at least at the level that they're at. So, okay. Just a few more things. These are some more things for you to think about. This first one, I actually got this idea from the modern Mrs. Darcy. I don't know if you are familiar with her, but she has a terrific blog with book recommendations, and she has a podcast. She interviews authors, and I've just really enjoyed following her. She actually had a post recently where she worked with, I can't remember the specifics, but I believe it was kind of a distance thing with some elementary school kids. And she encouraged them to write a list of 100 things about me as a reader. And so the kids made these great lists where, I like to read. I like to read books about adventure. My favorite book this year, and so the modern Mrs. Darcy, she also made a list, and it was just really inspiring. And I thought, wow, we could all do that. 100 things about me as a quilter. For example, I've been quilting for almost 30 years. I was taught by my grandmother. I love trying new blocks. I'm not so good at applique. The list could go on, and you could either write it down or think about it and just write down your favorites. But writing a list like that in your journal might really help you see where you want to go as a quilter. So when I read that blog post, I just thought, oh, this applies to quilting too. Just a few more questions to think about it this is all things to think about before you make before you finalize your goals for the year. What does your quilting life need right now? So is there something, do you need more time? Do you need more projects? Do you need more intentionality? Or do you need to just clean up and get organized? Just kind of think about what you need right now. And what can you do to make that happen? Just some thoughts. I did a cleanup in the sewing room the other day. It was an absolute mess from Christmas sewing, and It feels so good in here now. It's so much cleaner. So maybe that was something that I thought of. Hey, I need to clean this room up so I can get more out of it. The next question, or the next kind of thought process, is mini projects. It's really great to have small, quick mini projects that you can finish quickly. They give you satisfaction. They kind of build your spirits if you're working on a bigger project. So examples of those might be simple bags or pot holders or mug rugs or maybe even a small table runner. So I just really suggest that you think about some mini projects that you want to do throughout the year, kind of have those in mind for when you set your goals, and those will give you some quick finishes and good wins. And then finally, the last thing was, what do you need help with in quilting? What technique do you want to learn? What do you want to do more of so you can get better at it? So those are just the kind of the year-end thought-provoking questions, and it really will help if you journal these and kind of just take the time to look at it and think about it before you make your goals. I think you'll be much more happier with when you actually sit down to set some goals. So I hope this is helpful. This is what I've been doing at the end of the year. And, every year I think of a few more things to kind of help the process go more smoothly. So I hope that if you have any questions, you can leave them here on the podcast, especially about goals or year-end reviews, because Chelsea and I will be able to answer. We're going to talk about goals next podcast, and we'll be able to answer any of those questions that you have. I'm also thinking about doing some more of these kind of bonus episodes. So if there's a topic you have in mind, we'd love to hear about that. And theoretically, perhaps Chelsea could do a bonus episode in the future too. So just let us know what your thoughts are, and we look forward to quilting along with you in 2021. Thanks so much for stopping by.